Hi guys, it's Rachel and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're talking through everything that happened in March regarding my reading. So this is in replace of like my monthly reset videos. Let's just put it out there, March was not my month and that is absolutely fine and I'm ready for a fresh slate in April. But what I wanted to do was catch you guys up on everything regarding my reading in March. Obviously this is a reading channel. I did do some weekly vlogs in March, so if you want to check those out, I'll link them up above and down below for you guys. But if you're just like wondering where I've been, what's kind of happened, obviously I have still uploaded once a week, but I definitely haven't been reading, which is a real shame. So in 2025, my yearly goal is to read 80 books. And this is the biggest goal I've ever set since kind of like starting my reading journey back in 2015. And I've usually set it around 50 books. And this year I was like, you know what, I am determined, I'm going to do 80. And I started off really well in January and February. I read 9 books in January, 7 books in February. And I was like, if I read at least 7 books a month, I will be able to easily smash the 80 book goal. And March let me down. So I am just here to it's going to be a rambly one. It's going to be a bit like a Rachel's Reading Rambles. If you've been here for a while, you'll know, you know. But I'm just going to like ramble at you exactly what happened in March. And if you guys like this format, it might be a case I turn this into a more formal monthly reading update video. And in today's video, we're going to cover what books were on my TBR, what books I managed to read off that TBR, and then the books I did actually manage to read overall that weren't on my TBR in the first place. Some of the stats regarding to the books I did read, what format, what genre, what target audience, what ratings I gave, as well as then giving you updates on my yearly reading goals, such as my 2025 TBR, my physical TBR, which series I've completed, which series I then started, etc, etc. And then we'll jump into like the books I acquired this month versus the books I unhauled. And that will then go back to my physical TBR update section where, if you didn't know, in 2025, I'm trying to get rid of every single book off my physical TBR. And let's just say I've had a good month in terms of unhauling books this month. So this video should be quite a good roundup of everything that happened in the month regarding my reading, whether that was the reading that went well, the reading that didn't go so well, and then the books I acquired, and just all the fun reading updates that you may want to know about my reading life. So hopefully that all makes sense, but without further ado, let's hop into it before I ramble for any longer. And it's just gonna, you know what? Let's just start off with your typical reading wrap up. So in March, these are the books that are on screen now that were on my March TBR once I did my March TBR game. Ta-da! And out of those 5-6 books that are on my March TBR, I managed to read 2 of them. Let's quickly slide past that. And then these are the books that I actually managed to read. So although I didn't actually really focus on my March TBR, I did still read 5 books this month, which isn't horrendous. Like, that's pretty average, and that would have kept me on track if my reading goal was 50 books. It just has now put me behind schedule, which means that in April I have a little bit of a catching up game to do, which is fine because Prompt to Prompt is back. If you don't know, I'll link my TBR video for April up above and down below where I explain what Prompt to Prompt is if you're new around here. So like I said, 5 books in March, completely finished from front to back. However, because March was such a turmoil sort of reading month for me, and it wasn't the fact that I was in reading slumps, I was just reading at a slower pace, and I kept finding there's one book in specific that really kind of allowed me to visualize how my reading went this month. And that was a case of I would read books, get to like the 150 page mark, be really enjoying them, and then feel like I've been reading them for so long that I should be done with them, and yet I wasn't even 50% of the way through. And therefore my attention span completely disappeared. I was no longer interested in the book, and that meant I started a lot of books this month and didn't finish many books this month. So in terms of reading 5 total books, let's just say that's a win in itself. I read 5 books from start to finish, which I've rated, which I'll tell you about later. But in terms of books I started and I didn't finish / are still currently reading, but they're put on the back burner because they don't fit my Prompt to Prompt challenge, are The People on Platform 5 by Claire Pooley, which was on my monthly TBR for the month, but I got about 20 pages in and just wasn't feeling it, so that one got soft DNF'd and potentially hard DNF'd. I don't know, the writing style just felt a bit weird for me. And then the other 2 books were The Favourites by Lane Fargo. I was really enjoying this book, and this was a book that made me realise how my reading month went. I truly thought, I've been reading this book for so long. I was reading on my Kindle, and I was really enjoying it. I was hooked. The chapters were fast and quick, and I was really like engrossed in the story. And then I got about 200 pages in, and I was like, I feel like this story is done now. Like, how is this book not even halfway through yet? I'd done 200 pages. I felt like so much had happened. I felt like the drama had just been like constantly being dragged out, and I'm like, how have we still got 250 pages left of this book to read? And I lost interest, and I not unintentionally DNF'd it. If you didn't know, this book is massively hyped on BookTube at the minute. It basically follows two ice figure dancers, and they end up going to like national championships, world championships, and then their partnership breaks down due to jealousy. And then they go to this kind of like skating training camp where they really try and excel in their own unique style and their art form, etc. And then you basically just follow the drama that is within these four main characters, but you're following two main ones. I can't even remember their names right now. And I was really enjoying it. The drama was interesting. I was hooked, and then I felt like I'd finished the story, and I was only 42% of the way through. So that's kind of like a general gist of how my reading month went this month. I found a lot of books really interesting to start with, and then I instantly kind of like just fell off interest, and I just had no interest in continuing with them. And the last book that I started and soft DNF this month is The People We Keep by Alison Larkin. I got 50 pages into this one. I was really enjoying it, and then I kind of felt myself getting into a reading slump, so that's when I picked up The Favourites, and then I was like 200 pages in, I was like, yeah, this is life, I'm loving life. And then everything kind of fell off the face of the planet, and then I didn't read for like a week, hence why the reading vlog stopped, because I had nothing to document for you guys. And then recently I have picked up a book which I'm still in the middle of, but I haven't finished it yet, but it is the last day of the month today, and I'm really hoping that I can finish it today. So with that being said, solidly finished 5 books and soft DNF / hard DNF 3 books this month. So if I'd managed to actually read them all, I would have been on track with my like 7 to 8 books a month, being on track with my 80 books a year, but alas, that hasn't happened. So let's go into some fun stats of the books I did read. So in total, I read 5 books this month, spanning across 2,038 pages, which is quite impressive because I did read some big chunky books this month. 2 of them were physical books, 2 of them were ebooks, and 1 of them was an audiobook. 3 of them were off my physical TBR trolley, and 2 of them were off my Kindle, 1 of them being KU, and 1 of them being one I brought off my Kindle. 3 of them were romances, 1 was a thriller, and then 1 was a contemporary. 4 of them were adult, and then 1 was YA. I finished 2 series, and I started 1. So not too shabby in terms of the stats. Actually really happy with how the 5 books did total my reading stats for the month. So without further ado, let's talk about the books I did read. The first book I managed to finish this month was a 5-star, so can we not, let's just like pass over the fact of like how negative I've been in March. I started the month with a 5-star. And that was The Charlie Method by Elle Kennedy, which is also one of the series I managed to finish this month, because I did discover that the Campus Diaries spin-off series by Elle Kennedy is only a trilogy. So we had The Graham Effect, The Dixon Rule, and The Charlie Method, and sadly it is now finished, which I didn't realise at the time, but yes, I did finish a series this month, which is so sad because I could just keep living in Elle Kennedy's Briar world forever, and I still do have another spin-off series to read by Elle Kennedy, so don't worry, the Elle Kennedy content hasn't stopped just quite yet. But I did rate The Charlie Method 5 stars. I just absolutely adored this book. I didn't really know what to expect going into it, and I did actually vlog. This is one of the books I did vlog in one of my weekly vlogs. If you want to check out my full thoughts as I was reading the book, I'll link that video up and down below. But this book basically follows our main character Charlie, who ends up accidentally talking to 2 Briar U students who we've met in the previous Dixon Rule and the Graham Effect books, Will and Beckett. I was like, I know this name, Will and Beckett. And Will and Beckett actually have this like interesting relationship. They are best friends, but they also like to the same girl at the same time. And they set up a kind of like Tinder account with the being very open and giving full context of what their profile is and what they're looking for. And Charlie just somehow ends up stumbling into this account for Will and Beckett, and things develop from there, and it is a 3-way relationship, just as an FYI. It is very steamy, it is very smutty, but I just really enjoyed it. You got perspectives from all 3 characters, which I really enjoyed, and I did think the character development was really well done for each individual character. You had a lot of development for Charlie. She's very much a A-star sort of student. She doesn't want to do anything wrong, but she has this kind of like kinkier, saucier side to her that she doesn't want people to find out, and she really go on a big kind of like character growth with Charlie on like truly allowing herself to feel comfortable with the person that she's truly meant to be, which she has been hiding for so long under this like facade of being this kind of like A-star student, which I really enjoyed. And Will and Beckett are just both absolutely incredible, and I really didn't know how the book was going to pan out, but I'm really happy with how it did. I love the epilogue so much, and that was what kind of pushed it over to a 5-star, because originally it was going to be a 4.5 because there was a little bit in this book where Elle Kennedy wrote a historical fiction steamy fanfic section, which the characters spoke about within the story, but you had kind of like in between chapters of this actual fan fiction story, which I didn't read. I kind of skimmed over. I didn't like it. I don't think it added anything to the story. So therefore, I didn't want to give it a full 5 stars because I felt bad for not reading those parts of the books. But the part of the book I did actually read and rated highly was the 5-star section, and I couldn't deny my fact that this book was a 5-star for me. Absolutely adored it, and it's my third 5-star of 2025. So this is where I thought, right, March is off to a brilliant start. I'd read a 5-star. I read like almost a 600-page book, because Elle Kennedy, if you know, she writes big, thick books. In like 3 days, I was like, March is going to be my reading month. There's 31 days. This is going to be great. I'm going to read loads. Whoop, no, that didn't happen. And this is where I kind of started to read lots of kind of like different books. I tried to read People on Platform 5 by Claire Pooley, which obviously I soft DNF and don't think I'm going to get back to, but we never know. It's still on my Kindle. It's out of sight, out of mind for now. And then I decided to just stray away from my TBR for a little bit, and I read The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, which was a book on my Kindle that I downloaded as a KU book. And this is a YA mystery sort of thriller about a main character who has this kind of like special superpower where she can read people really well and really figure out situations that other people may not be able to see initially. And then so therefore this FBI group have set up a group of young people who all have similar special powers to help them solve cold cases. However, our main character, name blanks me, her mother passed away 5 years ago and the case never truly got solved. So when she gets hired by the FBI, she goes on like a side mission to try and figure out what happened to her mother, and kind of like a mystery kind of evolves from there. And I enjoyed it, but it was nothing special for me. I know people rave about the Naturals trilogy, and I definitely feel like, yes, it's a series, but I definitely feel like the first mystery wrapped up very nicely for me to keep it as a standalone book, in my opinion. But that is also the book in the series that I started this month. So I technically have started a new series, but because the mystery kind of wrapped up so well, I don't feel the need to continue on with the series if I don't need to. But if I'm ever in a reading slump again and I don't really know what to pick, romances and contemporaries are kind of like I've been bogged down by them, then this is kind of a quick, easy YA mystery to kind of like read in a couple of days and just kind of get like a nice palette cleanser, in my personal opinion. But I gave this one a 3-star, I think. 3.5, potentially a 3.5. And then me and Mark popped into Waterstones just randomly. Sometimes after we've done the food shopping on Saturday, we'll pop into our local Waterstones just to see what's going on. And So Thrilled for You by Holly Bourne was there signed. And if you didn't know, I rated the 2 books I have read by Holly Bourne, which are adult books, 5 stars before. So I didn't realise she had a new book out, but as soon as I saw it, I was like, of course this is going to be a great book. Like, of course it's going to be a 5-star prediction for me. And then I brought the book and then I read the blurb, and the blurb basically is Olive by Emma Gannon plus a mysterious baby shower house fire. So it follows 4 uni friends who are all kind of like drawn apart because of the way their lives are going. One of them is currently pregnant, is about to have the baby shower. One of them is really struggling to conceive and has gone through many treatments of IVF and is really struggling to conceive, but really wants to be a mother. So she's really dealing with that mentally and physically. And then you have another one of our friends who doesn't want to have a child at all. She's very much child free, living her very career focused life. And then you have another one who has a child of like 2 or 3 years old and is really struggling with postpartum depression and trying to balance this new life as being a mum. And this dynamic was really interesting. Once again, this is one of the books I did vlog, so if you want to see my full thoughts, I'll link it up above and down below for you guys. The 4 characters were very interesting in their dynamic, but I found them quite annoying at times. And I just felt like this book felt a little bit flat for me because I have such high expectations with the 4 friends from Olive that this one just didn't live up to my expectations quite as much. And I was constantly intrigued by this baby shower kind of house fire that kind of was set up at the very beginning of the blurb, where one of our friends, the one without a child, ends up planning this amazing kind of over the top, very Pinterest inspired baby shower for our friend who is currently pregnant, and the one who's pregnant doesn't really want a baby shower. She's very much just like wants to get on with things by herself. So this baby shower ends up in disaster when a house fire starts, and it's kind of hinted at it's one of the 4 friends who starts it, and then as you kind of read all 4 perspectives, you kind of get a figure out of their lives and what's going on personally and how their dynamic as a friendship has changed across like getting to know each other at university, and then trying to figure out this new dynamic of now they're all being mothers or wanting to be mothers or struggling to become mothers. And I found the conversations really interesting. This book was a lot denser than I thought it was going to be. I was wanting this kind of like, yes, poignant story about the different directions your life can lead, but also this like fun humorous side that I have seen from Holly Bourne before, and this book definitely wasn't that side of Holly Bourne. It was very much more the serious side, which is fine, but it just wasn't what I was expecting, and therefore it wasn't a 5-star, it was a 3. I sadly just, the ending felt very like, oh, is that it? Like, I've read 400 pages to lead up to this like grand reveal of who started the baby shower fire, and was that it? So I felt quite disappointed with this book, and I gave it a 3-star, which meant the Naturals was a 3.5. Whilst I was reading So Thrilled For You, I was listening to Next of You by Hannah Birmingham, potentially another 5-star prediction, which maybe this was the reason why my reading went so skew with this month, because I had so many 5-star predictions and so many of them let me down. This was, again, I want to say a 3-star. This is the second book and the last book in a duology. So once again, this is the second book series I finished this month of Next of Kin. Next of Kin was incredible. I absolutely adored it. I was really excited to get into this one. But this one just wasn't for me. This one basically follows our main character, Lane, who has had a very difficult upbringing. Her father died when she was quite young, but her father left her a very big inheritance, and he always said to her, spend it on something fun, not on something sensible. So she's always just had this stash of money that she didn't really know what to spend on. And when she turns 27, her friends all kind of host a massive party for her. She gets very drunk, and she ends up randomly on the drunken night out when she gets home buying a yellow school bus that she's going to convert into her home. And in doing so, she enlists some help from our other main character, Matteo, who is featured in the first book quite significantly because he is Willow's husband's best friend who also works at the car garage. So it's very much a familiar setting. But for me, I don't know if it's because I listened to it as an audiobook, and this was the first audiobook from Hannah Birmingham that I've listened to rather than reading with my physical eyeballs. I didn't really feel that connection of the romance. I didn't really get the relationship between Leigh and Matteo. I didn't really feel that chemistry listening to it, and I got bored at parts of just like, it's just this romance was just a little bit flat for me, especially compared to the other 3 Hannah Birmingham books I've read, which have all been higher 4.5 to 5-star reads. This one just felt a little bit flat, and I do want to say it could potentially be because I listened to it as an audiobook and I didn't read it with my eyeballs, but sadly this book I didn't feel as connected to it as I did with the other ones, and it just felt a little bit flat. It felt like a romance that I'd read before, and there were so many like intimate moments that you got where Matteo and Lane were like doing up the school bus by themselves late at night, and I just felt there could have been so much more kind of like sexual tension in the story, and there wasn't. And don't know, maybe it's because I came off like a very smutty, well-written Elle Kennedy 5-star book, but this one just felt a little bit flat for me. And that is the last book I've officially finished, with the hopes of finishing my last one today. So the book that I'm currently in the middle of, and this is my 5th book for March, I'm going to count it even if I just like finish it off ever so slightly tomorrow, is Love Struck by Laura Jane Williams, which, guys, was on my TBR from the get-go. Can we just praise me? This is the second book that I read of my monthly TBR this month. It had been put on it by my monthly TBR game, and I'm actually reading it, and I'm actually quite shocked because after finishing Next to You as an audiobook, I tried reading the favourites, I tried reading People We Keep, none of them were keeping my interest, and I didn't really read anything for a week. And then just last Friday I was like, right, I really just need to read something. I need to try and get out of this kind of like weird reading rut that I've gotten myself into. So I decided to pick up this book because it just felt light and fluffy. It felt like I didn't really have to put too much attention into it. I have previously soft DNF this book before, so I was a little bit skeptical, but I was like, this is a book that my body is currently drawing myself into, so why don't I just at least give it a go? And I'm 172 pages into it, so I feel like this potentially could, like, I'm not going to DNF it this time. I'm really hoping I can finish it. It's quite a chunky book for a romance. It is 406 pages, but what originally grasped me to this book is the fact that it's kind of like told in dual timeline, but not in your like past and present. Literally 2 separate timelines. Think about Marvel timelines here. Think about the MCU. So this woman really, really wants to find her one true love. She wants to find the person that she wants to settle down with. She wants to have kids. and she has broken up with the one that got away. She had to break up with him because he wanted to move to New York. She wanted to set up a small business here in the UK. So they decided to part ways because she didn't want to move out of her small town in the UK, and he wanted to try bigger and better things in New York. So they decided to part ways. That was 5 years ago. She hasn't been able to find the love of her life since. So she decides to host a manifestation ceremony and get this like guru on board. And as soon as the manifestation ceremony has finished and she's vocalized into the universe that she really wants to settle down, she wants to find the one true love of her life, her ex decides to text her. She receives a text from her ex. And you follow 2 timelines. The timeline where she texts back because she feels like this is the right sign. She's just done this manifestation ceremony, and she feels like him texting is a sign that she should at least get contact with him again and see where things go. And then the other timeline you follow is where she gets persuaded by her friends to not text him back because it's a sign. She's just put into the universe that he wants to find the love of her life, that he isn't the one, and then she ends up not texting him back. And you follow 2 timelines, and it's really, really interesting so far. You're definitely spending more time in the timeline where she texts back so far, just because Laura Jane Williams has a lot of history to kind of like flush out in terms of like what went wrong with their relationship, why they broke up, and like trying to rekindle what was there. You spend a lot more time in the she texts back perspective compared to she doesn't text back perspective, and I am preferring the she texts back perspective. But it's just a really, really interesting concept. I thought I was going to get really confused with the 2 timelines, but it's actually really easy to distinguish between the 2 of them. So far, so good. Like, not a highly rated book, definitely not like higher than a 4-star, probably most likely a 3.5, but I'm enjoying it. And at this point, that's all that matters to me because I really struggled with reading in March. So I did read 5 books this month, but I hauled 8. I hauled 8 books this month. However, it doesn't sound as bad. It doesn't sound as bad as you think. Obviously, you guys, I've been trying to cut down my physical TBR. I'm really trying not to buy physical books this year, just to kind of allow myself with a clear slate off my physical TBR trolley. So I can just like give it a refresh once all the books that have been there for 2 to 3 years are just finally gone, and I can just give it a brand new makeover, and I cannot wait. And I'm doing really, really well, which is going to be an update later on in this video. But I hauled 8 books. But don't worry, I have read 6 of those 8 books, and the 2 that I hadn't read previously to owning them were both on my Kindle. So I haven't added to my physical TBR at all, which is great because, like I mentioned previously, I did haul this book in March, but I also read it in March. So I added it and then instantly took it off again. So tick tick for me. And then 5 books that I have already previously read. I was umming and ahhing whether to get this special edition box set of these books because I absolutely adore this series so much. It just makes me so happy. And if Illumicrate Afterlight, whatever, I can't remember if it's Illumicrate Afterlight, decide to ever do like the Campus Diaries in special editions and they do them all to match, I want all of them. So I took the plunge. As a little work bonus treat, I treated myself to the original 5 off-campus series special editions. So we'll quickly go through them. They all have their own individual illustrated dust jacket with individual sprayed edges, individual end pages relating to the characters, and printed hardbacks. And then the first one is signed by Elle Kennedy herself. So we have the deal, we have the mistake. I'm gonna try to keep these in order. We have the score, which is my personal fave if you didn't know. And also blue is my favourite colour, so it just win-win. We have the goal and the legacy. So these are the 5 books that I really splurged on this month, but I have already read them, so I didn't add any books to my physical TBR. Yay! And then the 2 books I hauled on my Kindle this month. One was The Favourites by Lane Fargo. So we've talked about that one already. I tried to read it. I've soft DNF'd it because I do want to finish it. It's a very lengthy book for not much drama in the latter half. Just saying that. And then I also hauled The Wedding People by Alison someone this month as well, because I keep seeing it everywhere. Everyone raves about it, everyone's giving it 5 stars, and I just want to know what the hype is about. I'm really, really intrigued by it. So I saw it for like $2.99 on Kindle and I was like, you know what, why not? So those are the 2 books I brought on Kindle as well. So a total of 8 books, but only 2 of them technically brought into my possession unread. So I hauled 8 books, but obviously only 2 of them were unread coming into my possession. but I actually unhauled 5 this month. So if you saw my physical TBR weekly reading vlog, you'll know that I unhauled 3 books off my physical TBR trolley that I just no longer had interested in. So I don't have these with me anymore because I have actually got rid of them. So I unhauled The Lock-In by Phoebe Luckhurst, If You Still Recognise Me by Cynthia So, and Spark of Light by Jodie Picoult. And then in terms of the books I read this month that I will be unhauling, sadly, So Still For You is going to be unhauled as well. Potentially. I don't know about this one. I might want to reread it at a later date, but I don't love the book cover enough to keep the hardback, so I might just end up getting on my Kindle if I ever decide to reread it. And then sadly, because it feels wrong to unhaul the only Hannah Birmingham book I have unhauled, but I just didn't love this book enough to keep it in my possession, so I'm going to unhaul it next to you as well. So we've unhauled quite a lot of books this month, which is very, very exciting. So with that being said, shall we do a quick physical TBR update, because I'm very, very excited to let you know the figures. Just to recap, we started the year with 34 books on my physical TBR. In January, we knocked it down to 33. In February, we knocked it down to 31 books. Leave your guesses in the comments. In March, we managed to knock my physical TBR down to, drumroll please, 25 books. I actually can't believe it. I'm in the 20s. I'm in the 20s, and April's the month of prompt to prompt. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll link my April TBR video up above and down below. But it's the month of prompt to prompt. We try and read 2 books a week on my physical TBR. 1 physical, 1 audiobook. We pull prompts as we go. If that's the case, we have 4 solid weeks in April. That's 8 books. If I read all of those 8 books off my physical TBR, I'm going to be down into the teens. I'm going to be down into like 17 books left on my physical TBR. What? That's crazy. That's crazy, but also so exciting. I'm hoping by like August, September time, all of my physical TBR books will be gone. Which is a crazy concept, but I'm very, very excited about it. And I've actually stayed motivated with this goal, which I didn't think when I was like randomly making it one day in my January reset video, I want to say. Then I was like, you know what? Let's actually try this. If I would actually succeed or not. And the fact that I'm still motivated 3 months in to try and succeed in this goal makes me very, very happy. And every time I read a book off a physical TBR and I take it off my trolley and I either put it away on my shelves or I unhaul it, it makes me so, so happy. And it's actually massively helping at the minute that all I want to do is read on my Kindle, because I go into bookshops and I don't buy books. I have no urge to buy any books because I'm like, well, it's usually cheaper on Kindle. Well, why wouldn't I buy it on Kindle? Oh, it's on KU, so why do I buy a physical copy? So I go into Waterstones, I go into the works, I want to buy books, but especially in the works, all of those books tend to be on KU. So why would I buy physical books when I already pay a monthly subscription to KU to read on my Kindle, and I prefer reading on my Kindle? I don't know. So I'm really, really happy with how accomplished I'm feeling with my physical TBR. And the last little reading update I want to give you is my 2025 TBR update. And it's going to be a quick update because this is my 2025 TBR. As you can see, I've ticked off quite a few of them because I was very successful in January and I was very successful in February. In March, I didn't tick off a single 2025 TBR book this month. And that's fine, because I tried. I really tried to read People We Keep by Alison Larkin, which is in my interested in column. And that didn't happen, sadly. But I'm still hoping to read it. I haven't officially hard DNF'd that book. So hopefully I'll come back to it and get it ticked off very, very soon. But yeah, that's how we're standing with my 2025 TBR. We're standing at the same pace as we were at the end of February. But that's fine, because I only have 8 books left on it anyway. So I could still massively, easily do it by the end of the year. And can I take a breath now, because we are finished? That is all of the reading updates I wanted to give you this month. Very different to my usual monthly resets, but I really hope you enjoyed this kind of like just sit down, chatty, giving you all of the kind of like reasons why and all the updates regarding my reading in March, because it was just a very kind of like turmoil, rocky, up and down reading month. I just wanted to like put it all out there and have a little bit of a chat with you guys, because I miss you guys. So I hope you're all doing well. Let me know what you're currently reading in the comments down below. If you've unhauled books recently, like tell me what your like goals are, how you're getting on. Just let me have a chat with you guys down in the comments, because I miss you guys. And that's kind of it. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a massive thumbs up and subscribe down below to see future content from me. I do anything from weekly reading vlogs, monthly TBRs, monthly wrap-ups, any other push content that you can think of. I do have on the channel, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.